Death comes ripping in Final Destination Bloodlines, a shining example of how you do a legacy sequel. With the franchise returning 14 years after the fifth movie, this is easily the most unique twist on this formula, with the original premonition having occurred in the 1960s, causing death to follow everyone from that accident over decades, even going down to their descendants, which is where the Bloodlines part of the title comes into play. And while this still gives us plenty of what we come to these movies for, and you'll ultimately know where it's going, it still allows us to move away from being just a rinse and repeat of any of the previous films. It balances out the carnage with a story emphasizing the importance of family, giving us some of the most likable characters in the entire franchise. Honestly, this time around, the majority of the characters aren't really all that disposable, which was generally the case with all these movies. For such a large cast of new characters, most of them are fairly fleshed out and you can get invested in them. And there's even some exploration of themes of generational trauma, at least explored as deep as you can go in these movies without dragging this out for too long, that again changes up the dynamics a bit compared to what we're used to in this franchise. Even the late great Tony Todd returning as Bloodworth for the last time, this finally gave us answers as to how he always knew so much about how death worked in the previous movies. Not only did it tie all the previous entries together in a way that didn't feel forced, but it also served as a beautiful send-off for both the actor and the character, with some truly moving final words. Though the time dedicated to all of its characters was really nice, but of course, the main thing we come to these movies for is the blood and the gore, and this certainly delivers. For one thing, the opening scene is probably the best we've ever gotten in these movies. It's easily the most destructive and anxiety-inducing, and even one of the last bits in the sequence actually got me to audibly shout in the theater, something I rarely do. But then anything that comes after that, as usual, a lot of it is played for these bits of morbid humor for just how creative and how twisted they can be, especially for the usual moments where you think someone's safe, only for them not to be. And these moments are brought to life by some of this franchise's better use of visual effects, being a mix of both practical and CGI that gives us plenty of memorable imagery in all the carnage. And overall, it makes this a great return for such an iconic franchise. It's an absolute blast, giving us exactly what we come to these movies for and cranking it up a notch, and even elevates it to some compelling new heights with its likable characters, overall making for easily the best entry in this franchise.